Hey, Mike here. I just wanted to let you know that you can listen to Dark Poutine early and ad-free on Amazon Music, included with Prime. You're about to listen to a historical episode of Dark Poutine. After episode 149, you will find Scott is no longer with the show. In an effort to maintain continuity and offer listeners as many episodes as possible, we are leaving the episodes in which he co-hosted intact. Thank you. There were loons again. The loons were here. Welcome to Dark Poutine. I'm Mike Brown, creator and host. With me as usual is my good friend and co-host Scott Hemingway here in the sauna.
Hello, all you sweaty summertime listeners.
Sweaty summertime.
Yeah, that'd be a great song. Sweaty summertime listeners. Sweaty.
Oh my.
The views, information, and opinions expressed during the Dark Poutine podcast are solely those of the producer and do not necessarily represent those of CuriousCast, its affiliate Global News, nor their parent company, Chorus Entertainment.
Dark Poutine is not for the faint of heart or squeamish. We strongly advise listener discretion. We're not experts on the topics we present, nor are we journalists. We're two ordinary Canadians chatting about crime and the dark side of history. Let's get to it. Put on your toque, grab yourself a double-double and a Nanaimo bar. It's time to scarf down some Dark Poutine.
Chomp.
You almost didn't chomp.
I almost didn't chomp. It's later than usual.
It's the he chomped.
Yeah.
Listeners who feel they are in crisis can contact the crisis text line in Canada by texting HOME to 686868. In the US or the UK, text 741741. The service will match you with a volunteer counselor who is supervised by a licensed trained mental health professional. Crisis text line is free 24/7 support for those in crisis. For more information, please go to crisistextline.ca in Canada or crisistextline.org globally. Let's get on with the show. In this episode, we'll look at the case of a young man who disappeared on Thanksgiving weekend in 2008 from a home he shared with two of his cousins in Edmonton, Alberta. Treated at first as a possible missing person, investigators now believe the man was a victim of homicide.
It doesn't feel like it was 12 years ago.
It definitely was. You are listening to Dark Poutine episode 135. What happened to Dylan Koshman?
It's a great question.
Do you know of this case?
Yeah, I definitely, it's another one where I know the headlines of it. You know, I know the bullet points of it.
Right.
I don't know a lot of the details that go along with it.
Well, there aren't a lot of details, which is interesting.
So I know it all.
So it's why I struggle. It's why I struggle with doing these cases.
Yeah.
We mentioned before that a lack of evidence after someone vanishes makes covering them really, really difficult.
Yeah.
Now, our goal, especially when talking about an unsolved case, is to give as much information as we can. However, it's frustrating when there's so few facts available.
Yeah, because then what do you have to talk about?
Exactly.
Yeah.
In Dylan's story, other factors complicate things, and we'll get into those. As this episode progresses, some of you may feel sure about who you think was involved in Dylan's disappearance and possible murder. But until Dylan turns up, maybe just fine, off doing something else, or authorities convict someone, this will remain a mystery. He's been missing for almost 12 years, as Scott mentioned, and his family, his sister and mom in particular, are still active in the search for Dylan Koshman. I got to speak to both of them, and we will have more from them as this episode progresses. They desperately want to find out what happened to him and, if possible, bring him home.
I can't fathom ever just giving up on looking for a missing family member.
Right. A lot of people who have a missing family member, I've heard reports of people saying to them, why don't you just
move on,
let the police do their jobs, like all those kind of things. Put yourself in their shoes.
Yeah, they clearly have never experienced anything even remotely close to it.
I haven't. And I understand that I wouldn't. If Carol went missing tomorrow, I would be looking for her really.
At least a few hours.
No, much more than that.
No,
At
absolutely.
least a couple of days. No, I would not give up until I found out what had happened to her.
Yeah.
And for better or for worse, I mean, it's probably not good for someone's health to be concerned like that for the remainder of their lives. But
what are you going to do? The person you love is just vanished. The thought of, oh my God, are they suffering right now?
Mm-hmm.
That want to just I need to go.
Exactly.
And try to do what I can.
Right.
To find it's and this, you hear people say that same thing when somebody, a family member has been murdered or lost,
right.
and I think it's time to move on. It's look, there's no template on how you should heal.
Right. It takes what it takes.
It takes what it takes. There's healthier ways and not healthier ways, but this isn't the kind of a trauma you can prepare yourself for.
Well, let's get into this one.
Yeah.
Dylan Koshman grew up in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. And Moose Jaw is a small city of about 33,000, just a little bit south of Saskatoon. You like how I did that song?
Yeah,
Sonny James.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's 225 kilometers away. As the Trans-Canada Highway No. 1 skirts the northeastern edge of the city, I blew through there as I was returning from my cross-country drive in 2018.
I did as well once.
Pretty much all I recall is seeing Mac the Moose off the highway. Do you know who Mac the Moose is?
Yeah, I saw him too. Yeah.
Mac, for those who don't know, is a steel and concrete sculpture of a moose. And he sits on the grounds of Moose Jaw's Visitor Center at 450 Diefenbaker Drive. Mac's claim to fame is that he is the world's largest moose at 10.36 meters tall and weighs in at approximately 10 tons.
I mean, I'd say it's worth the trip, but I won't.
That's good that you said that.
Yeah.
But I don't know anything else about Moose Jaw.
And I'm not, knocking,
I'm not
knocking the area.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, a 3-day drive.
Yeah.
It might, to see a tall moose.
But
might
if you're
not
passing by,
look
for
yeah.
Mac the Moose. Even stop in. Apparently, you can go to the visitor center there and learn a little more.
They give out free moose.
I find that a lot of the names in the prairies are interesting. Moose Jaw is very interesting. Red Deer, Medicine Hat.
Yeah, I don't know. Man, I wonder where they came up with all these names. Is it literally just here's a jar with names in it?
No, I think they are actually indigenous of origin.
It would make some sense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it would. Yeah. But what's so impressive about a moose jaw? Why would you need to name,
I spoke with Melanie Alix, Dylan's mom, about what Dylan was like when he was a youngster.
Well, he was the middle child. He has 2 older siblings and 2 younger. And he was the middle child, the clown, liked to tease. And, he was, he was the one that would streak through the living room thinking it's funny, where, he was just a clown, and he liked to make people laugh.
Mm.
And he was born with a hearing disability, which we didn't realize until he started kindergarten. So, that explained a lot. I thought he was selective hearing, because he was, he had a lot of energy. He loved soccer. He loved fishing, was a huge passion, camping. He was just involved. He liked to keep busy. He was the one that got us going camping. He was 7 years old, and he found a trailer online that would suit us.
Wow.
That's how, when he wanted to do something, he did it.
Is there any memory that stands out about Dylan that you find particularly comforts you?
Probably our camping.
Yeah.
As a young boy. Like I said, he got us out there. He was the one that we found this trailer, and he was the one that got Beaver Lumber to open up because we needed a certain size screw.
Wow.
To put one of the benches back together before we could go camping. And he explained, he's only 7, 8. Lady, if you don't keep your stir open, we have to wait another day.
That's great.
He was, and he loved his family. He loved his siblings. You've seen that. He loved kids. He loved children. He did with newborns, which was weird to see as even as a teenager, he would want to hold a newborn, which you don't see that too often. He was that kind of, a lot of love. Yeah.
When I was that age, I was scared of them. I didn't want to hurt them. Here, you take it.
What? Yeah. I have 4 sons, and 2 of them are like that. And the other 2, I don't want to hold the baby kind of thing. But that's the kind of guy he was. He was shy in some parts, but then the next time he was like terrorizing you and driving, like trying to bug you so you'd chase him,
Yeah.
He'd be the one with the water gun squirting you and getting you going. But he was, I miss him so much.
I bet. As many young folks from Canada's smaller towns do, Dylan Koshman wanted to broaden his horizons and get his adult life underway.
Sure.
His mom told me a little bit about that.
To actually move away from our city was something big for him because, he was turning 21 and he decided to move up to Edmonton and try to find his place, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was out of the ordinary for him to leave or go too far. He was the one that liked family connection. He was the one that was trying to always go to every family thing he could,
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons I moved to BC from Nova Scotia when I was in my early 20s. So I really relate to that kind of thinking.
I think a lot of people, a lot of small town youth have that exact same desire.
You grew up in New West, so you really didn't care.
I was always a short bus or train ride away from the city. So there wasn't this urge to have to be near a big city. Because I was.
Next, I asked Melanie about Dylan's first stop. Tara Koshman's place in Red Deer, his half-sister. He went to Tara's place first?
On his way to Edmonton, yes. He stayed with Tara for a while.
Were they close?
Well, there was how many years between them? I think it was 7.
Okay.
So there was a split there. So, I mean, when they were little, we did lots of stuff together. If we weren't at the animal park, we're at the lake, they loved playing and doing whatever. And Tara was the boss. Of course, she was the oldest.
Yeah.
But Dylan had kind of a way about him to, he liked to challenge you too, right? He was like, you might want me to do this, but I'm going to do it this way too, right?
So he had some good spirit.
Oh, he had awesome spirit.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And athletic, like I said, he, after, soccer and playing different sports, swimming and all this, he focused on his physique. He liked going to the gym. He was into, being in shape. He was very in good shape. He was just that kind of person. Like,
he looked like a pretty ripped guy in all the photos that I've seen of him, like pretty fit. Yeah.
Yeah. He started probably going to the gym when he was 17, 18. So, I mean, he liked to take care of himself that way. And he was good looking. He was very shy when it came to girls and stuff when he was young.
Mm-hmm.
And even as older, he was more shy, but he was a good looking boy, and.
Do you feel like his hearing disability held him back at all in social situations?
Oh, I know it has. I'm deaf.
Yeah.
I'm deaf in my left ear. He was deaf in his right ear. So, I mean, I should have looked for this when I, noticed that he never responded sometimes. But you're right, your good ear will take over, and it's hard to tell someone is deaf unless there's background music or something where you can't hear. And yeah, maybe it did a little bit in the social setting, but not really. Like, he was a social guy. He had a lot of group of friends.
Yeah.
He was like, he had his elementary friends. He had his high school friends. He had his sports friends. He had his party friends. He had a whole bunch of different groups of people. And yet I didn't even realize how many different people he knew as to when he went missing, when I started receiving all these, messages and people, so concerned and that knew him well, like that this wasn't his, he just wouldn't go missing. He didn't have mental health issues or, depression or anything like that.
Right.
Right. There was no signs. Like I said, he was a healthy, ambitious, fun kid. And he was the one that, really promoted staying in touch with his family, even as a 21-year-old.
We'll hear more from Melanie later. Next, I talked to Tara a little bit about her relationship with Dylan.
I'm 6 years older than Dylan, so, And I have the two brothers. We share a dad. We have different moms. And so I'm 6 years older than Dylan, and so he was considered really the baby of the family. He's fun and had a sense of humor, sarcastic, is pretty funny. Some memories. I have a few, like I said, he's always the baby of the family, so we really, when we hung out, we were a trio, and like camping and stuff, we'd always, he'd be always tagging around, and he really looked up to his brother Derek, and he also had two younger brothers. Melanie had two other sons with a different father. So he had a large family, and he was really family oriented. He always made sure that we were all contacting each other, and was concerned that even if, because me and Mel aren't related, making sure that we still kept contact and stuff like that. So
he was kind of like the family glue.
Yeah, he was the glue, exactly. He was the connection, the prime connection between all of us, because it is such a spidered family, we have quite a family tree. But he was really great that way. He really had a heroic disposition. He wanted to be a firefighter. He liked being, the protector, the hero, and he's funny sometimes, sisterly, brotherly thing. He'd razz me all the time, but
So he was just like every little brother should be.
Every little brother you can imagine. Yeah. He was just a baby, though. So, if he needed something, I would, drop anything to help him. And, he lived with me for a couple months before he moved up to Edmonton. We didn't grow up together. We grew up together on weekends, right?
Sure.
When Dad had us, right?
Yeah.
So we never had that brotherly sister, fighting relationship. We've always had a really good connection that way. And so he would call me, Tara, I'm swinging by, and we'd hang out and as friends. And especially now that he was getting older, he was 20 when he lived with me. So, and then unfortunately, he just never got that chance to find his wife and family. And
yeah, he was just getting his life started, really.
He was just starting, and we were all just trying to help him out, right? He was just kind of, navigating the world and trying to fit in somewhere, and try to be away from mom and dad, and come out here because they're in Saskatchewan. Come out here to Alberta with us and my cousins, and then it all went wrong. So yeah.
From Tara's place, Dylan traveled to Edmonton, where he moved in with his two first cousins, Colin DeMasson and Colin's brother, Nick Koshman. Dylan wanted to pursue a job as an apprentice pipe fitter, and he was considering a return to school at some point to learn more about this trade.
Trades are a good source of income, man.
Especially right now. People are talking, this was 12 years ago, but there aren't enough tradespeople in the world.
Definite shortage of trades happening because everybody's focused on technology,
And being a pipe fitter in Alberta is probably a pretty lucrative job.
At least at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The young men all lived in a rented bungalow in South Edmonton where 33rd Avenue Northwest meets 104th Street Northwest. And not that it's relevant to the story, but the exterior of the home has this distinguishing feature. It's a large, ornate black cross, and it's equidistant, so it doesn't look like a Christian cross. It's just this cross, and it's on the right side of the door. It just is a weird feature on the side of the house. And I don't know if it's something that appears on homes in Edmonton. And maybe somebody can explain it to us in the Umberyard or email us or something like that.
I'm fascinated. I'm curious now.
Yeah, but it was just a weird thing to see. It's made the house stand out.
Yeah.
And it makes it stand out today because I Google mapped the place and it's still there.
Fascinating.
So, yeah. But I digress. The three young men did what young single men often do. They worked hard and they partied harder.
It's small town living at its finest.
Well, that's Edmonton now.
Oh, that's right. He's in Edmonton. Well, it's still...
You should pay attention to the show. In 2008, Dylan was a good-looking, fit young man with a bright smile. He stood around 5 feet 9 inches tall and weighed between 180 and 190.
Solid fella.
He was clean-cut with short brown hair, hazel eyes, and a deep scar that looked like a dimple on the left side of his face. Tara told me a little bit about that dimple/scar.
When he was a little kid, he fell down, and he fell down right on a screwdriver in his face, and that gave him that big dimple. Yeah, so and it just made it look like he always had that scar. It made it look like it was part of him, and he really made that dimple work. It was cute. So, and that happened when he was young. I don't know, 4 or 5. Melanie would be able to tell you, but he was young. So.
Wow. He was diligent about calling home to check in with his family every week or every two. Mm-hmm. From the Edmonton Journal, quote, "The last time Melanie Alix heard her son's voice, he was crooning happy birthday into the phone at full volume. And she was teasing him, saying, 'Who is this?' 'Dylan,' he said. 'It's Dylan.' 'But Dylan doesn't sing,' she said, laughing. 'But I'm a changed man, Mom,' he said."
That would be both a very heartwarming memory, last memory to have, but then also a very painful one.
Yeah.
Double-edged sword.
Sometime soon after his move to Edmonton, Dylan met his girlfriend, Erin Huff. Erin later told Fifth Estate that Dylan was sweet and funny, but also a bit shy. She said there was a growing tension between the cousins in that bungalow, and that she suspected that her presence was at least one of the factors in that. Dylan was bringing Erin around so much that his cousin Colin complained that he should be paying more rent. It was a sore spot between them, and Dylan was considering moving out as soon as he could. In the early morning hours of Saturday, October 11th, 2008, things went sideways. As this was Dylan's first Thanksgiving away from home and his immediate family, he'd invited another cousin, his first cousin, Cameron Koshman, to hang out and party with him. And Cameron lived in Moose Jaw, so he came from Moose Jaw to hang out.
Okay.
But according to statements later given to police, Colin did not want Cameron there for the weekend, and he had told Dylan that. During our conversation with Tara, she talked to me a little bit about Cameron Koshman.
He's got a background, Mike. I think it's crazy. Like, he's in and out of jail. He's a lifetime. I've never talked to him. I haven't talked to him since I was young.
Was that why Colin didn't want him around?
Yes. Colin didn't want him around, but Dylan, well, I pay rent here, right? Like, I pay rent.
Yeah.
Okay. Right? And now this is his, well, I can do what I want. You're not my dad. I'm going to pay rent.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what happened.
Colin said that when Cameron showed up, he, quote, evicted Dylan and told him he had to be out by the end of the month.
Oh, wow.
Colin went out drinking with his other friends. So, you're just like, okay, here's this young cousin of mine just not following the rules in the house, and he's frustrated.
Yep.
Okay, I've had enough of you. Get out.
Yep.
By the end of the month, I'm going out with my buddies. See you later.
Yep.
But through the evening, there's more drinking and partying at the house back at the bungalow. And Nick Koshman, Colin's brother, was still there and overheard Dylan and Cameron plotting to, quote, kick Colin's ass when he came home. So Nick texted his brother to give him a heads up.
This is my understanding of it. Cameron and Dylan go for a drink and food, and then Dylan comes back and takes a nap. At this time, Cameron takes a cab somewhere, who knows where, and he comes back. He's supposedly going to talk to Erin, Dylan's girlfriend, and but he never meets up with her downtown. Bar. And then he leaves, and then he comes back. And then this is when they started drinking again, and they started talking about kicking his butt again, and then Nick calls him, and then Colin comes back, and and then they have the argument.
Fueled by alcohol, tensions finally boiled over, and a fight broke out between Dylan and Colin in the kitchen of the home they shared. And they were crashing about the kitchen, all kinds of stuff flying everywhere, you know.
As would happen.
Men having a scrap. From a CBC article, according to Nick Koshman's 9-page statement written after his cousin's disappearance, quote, after Colin came home, he and Dylan, quote, went at it, pushing each other around. They make it to the floor, and Dylan's been throwing punches, and Colin looked like he's going more to restrain Dylan than hurt him, end quote. Then Nick says that he turned around to get a drink, and when I came back to see, Dylan had left, and Colin said he went out the back.
Okay.
From the same CBC article, in a later witness statement, Colin said, I confronted them, meaning Dylan and Cameron, and told them to leave. So he's telling them to leave. Get out of here. Okay, if you want to fight me, you're not in my house at all.
Yeah, makes sense.
We argued, and a fight/wrestling match broke out. Colin went on to write that after the wrestling match, he continued to argue with Dylan and told him to, quote, get out. He didn't live here anymore. Come back and get his stuff later. He left out the back. So Dylan just left out the back door.
So he's saying,
this
fighting ensued. He was just, get the hell out of here. You don't live here anymore. Dylan, okay, bye. Out the back. Okay.
Cameron spoke to CBC's Fifth Estate as well. From the accompanying article, quote, he said in a telephone interview that after Dylan was kicked out of the house, he hurriedly grabbed his things from Dylan's bedroom in the basement and went out the same door that Dylan left from. Because it's like, okay, I'm not sticking around if cousin's gone. Dylan had stormed off into the cold night without his jacket, wearing only a T-shirt, skateboarding sneakers, and a pair of jeans. A website citing historical weather from October 11, 2008, said that the low that morning was around -8 degrees Celsius.
You're not going to be
it's cold.
Sustaining yourself long outside in that attire in -8.
No, definitely not. Dylan apparently was last seen traveling toward 34 Avenue and Calgary Trail just a block away, so more like a major intersection.
Yep.
Quote, according to Cameron's phone records, someone used Dylan's phone to call Cameron at 3:30 a.m. several times in the span of a minute. Cameron says he missed all the calls because he was simultaneously calling 911 to report that he was hiding from Colin, whom he alleges was trying to beat him up.
Okay. Interesting coincidence.
At around the same time, just before 4 a.m., 911 calls also came from neighbors who were reporting a loud, violent fist fight on the front lawn of the rented bungalow at 10404 33rd Avenue. According to the timeline, Dylan is long gone by this time, so it had to involve Cameron, Colin, and Nick. Things get a little murky around this point. The police responded to the call hours later, but when they knocked on the door and received no answer, they left. Everything's quiet again. There's no disturbance now.
Sure.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
This happens so many times a night.
I would imagine it's fairly standard. And everything's quiet now. They clearly went back inside.
They'll show up real quick if you say there's a gun or a knife.
Yeah.
But if it's just dudes out on the front lawn
my
fighting.
My neighbors are fighting outside again. Can you send somebody, and then they come by and it's like, everything's quiet now. I guess they went inside and passed out.
Exactly. But what Tara mentioned to me, and does not get mentioned in news stories, is how many 911 calls were there. Apparently there were quite a few if you consider the neighbors and Cameron. Why on earth didn't the Edmonton Police Service respond sooner? Dylan sent a message over MSN Messenger to his brother Derek, asking Derek for his phone number. Derek did not see the message until later and received no response when he messaged Dylan back. It was the last message anyone got from Dylan.
Okay.
Aaron Huff, who had tentative plans with Dylan that night, had been texting with him throughout the evening. But after the fight in the kitchen, she got no more replies from Dylan.
Yeah.
And after texting a few more times, went to bed. The next day, Dylan was still not responding, so Aaron, now worried, started calling the home phone at Dylan's house at the bungalow. But there was no answer after repeated attempts. According to the Fifth Estate story, when Aaron finally did get through on Saturday night, so almost a full day later,
Yep.
it was Colin who answered. Colin told her that Dylan was not home and he did not know where he'd gone. When she asked if she could come over and pick up her things, Colin said no.
Oh, interesting. I mean, sure, it could just be that after such a heated night, he would want, no, I don't want anything to do with him or you right now.
Yeah, you were part of the problem.
Yeah, so I mean, it could just be as simple as that.
Erin called around looking for Dylan for the next 2 days. She contacted everyone who she could think of, including Dylan's brother Derek. She kept trying Dylan's phone, calling and texting. Dylan didn't respond. Erin called Edmonton hospitals to see if Dylan had been injured and maybe shown up there. He wasn't at the hospital. She even called the remand center to see if Dylan had been arrested.
Sure.
But police told her due to privacy concerns, they were unable to reveal who they were holding there. And that's standard procedure as well. You can't call and say, hey, do you have my husband in jail?
Really? Hey?
Yeah, you can't do that.
I would think that would be a no-brainer to be able to.
Apparently not.
Wow, okay.
Erin hoped that she'd be able to connect with Dylan when he returned to work on Tuesday after the holiday.
Yeah.
So she called Dylan's workplace the morning that he was supposed to show up and found out he didn't.
No show.
He was a no-show. He hadn't contacted work to tell them that he wasn't going to be there. He just didn't show up.
Yep.
Erin then contacted Dylan's brother Derek to tell him that Dylan had disappeared.
Derek called me and he told me that Dylan's girlfriend was worried about him. She never talked to him. I was working at the time. I was working as a receptionist. And when I got the call, I kind of thought, again, he's young, and I didn't know he had a girlfriend at this time, so I didn't know how serious it was. I didn't know that they were dating for a couple months. He didn't let me know.
Sure.
So I just kind of thought, well, maybe he's just trying to ghost her, right? And so, but that wasn't the case. And he said, well, Tara, I'm really worried. I think I should call Mom. And then I said, no, don't call. Just give him a day.
Yeah.
And then. But by that time, it had already been the weekend, right? This was, I think, Tuesday at the call, because he went missing on, this Saturday in the wee morning. So, basically Friday night. And then, so this is Tuesday. So I was thinking, okay, maybe you went with a friend for the weekend, right? It's a long weekend. And maybe he just kind of was trying to ghost her or something. And then he said, no, I'm really worried. I'm going to call Mom. He called Mom.
Yeah.
And Mom went crazy like I suspected she would. Only, you need a mom to go crazy sometimes.
Yeah. Yep.
And this was definitely the case for that.
From an article later on discovermoosejaw.com, Melanie said that she wanted to report her son missing, but she wasn't able to. Quote, even back then, when I phoned the police to say my son was missing from Moose Jaw in Edmonton, they told me I couldn't report a missing person from across provinces and other cities. That's all changed now, and that's what the public has to know, that when there is a missing person, you can report them right away. The sooner the better. So, but that wasn't her experience at the time.
It's awesome of her to provide that clarity for future
use.
But wow, what a kick in the junk.
Right? So you want to report your son is missing, but you're not there. So you're not physically here. So you can't really determine whether this person is missing. Melanie called Colin DeMasson to explain the issue and told him to report Dylan missing right now. Later, though, according to police, Colin never did phone to report Dylan missing. According to a media release from the Edmonton Police Service, it was Aaron Huff who told them that Dylan was missing on the evening of October 15th, 2008. The media release added to the description we have above, stating, he is in very good shape. He has nice teeth, short brown hair, hazel eyes, and scars on his left cheek and left eyebrow. He has earrings in both ears. Here's some more of what Tara recalls from that week.
So on Thursday, I came out to Edmonton with my boyfriend at the time, and we went to the house, and there was a police officer there, and they took Colin's and Nick's statement right in the kitchen, and then everything seemed kind of normal until me and my boyfriend went back to the truck, and all of a sudden a bunch of cops came and a bunch of police officers and swarmed the next door neighbors. And at that point, I thought they found him, and so I was crying. I was calling back home. I think they found him. I don't think it's good. Like, there's a lot of cops here. And one of the police officers that were talking to us,
if you're looking for a smoking gun, I can absolutely guarantee you will not find it.
In October 2001, a series of letters filled with a deadly powder called anthrax were dropped into the U.S. mail system. What started as an unprecedented case turned into an unsettling mystery. Who sent these deadly letters, and why? From Campside Media and Sony Music Entertainment, I'm Josh Dean, and this is Cover Up Season 4. The Anthrax Threat. Available now.
There was two of the main two that were talking to us, like a liaison between us, and saying, don't worry about it, go back home. It's like, I cannot not worry about this.
Yeah,
I can't
no
go
kidding.
Back home. 'Cause I live in Red Deer, right? So no, I'm not going to, I'll wait and find out. And then after a while, we did find out that they found a bag and the wallet back there. So that's what that was all about at that time. And when I was talking, when the police officers were all there, my family was already on the road driving up at this point. So, they're going to be there. And then once my family, that's when it all became very real, and we started searching, and everything just happened from there.
When Melanie Alix arrived in Edmonton to start searching for Dylan herself, he'd been missing for nearly a week already. And we'll take a break right here. And we're back. Thoughts so far?
My gut tells me to lean in a few directions, but that's the challenge with missing persons.
Right, exactly.
Is that
you only have the information that you have.
And there have been instances where people have been dead set that this person did it, and it wasn't that person at all. Yeah.
Although police did a cursory search of the area, it was actually left up to Dylan's family to look for him. Police expressed to Melanie that they thought they might find Dylan deceased, having died due to a combination of alcohol and exposure. He walked off without a jacket on into a cold night.
That would be a very logical
It's not
assumption.
an uncommon thing on the prairies in northern Alberta for somebody to wander off.
Had too much to drink,
Yep.
wander off, get lost, and...
Melanie had some different thoughts on this that she shared with me.
The night he went missing, he was drinking, day drinking.
Mm-hmm.
They said how much he drank, and it was a lot, but he did sleep for 4 or 5 hours. So he slept. Then he got up, and they went and ate.
Okay.
And I asked the police, right away you assume that he passed out somewhere and he was just a missing person, tried to walk somewhere and he froze to death. I knew that didn't happen. For one thing, he was a physically fit guy. He would have came and got shelter. He would have went somewhere. And I didn't agree with that, but that's what the police were directing at. And then when I asked, the missing persons detectives, did you talk to the waitress where he went the night, after when he woke up and went to eat and had, no, we did not. And I said, why? I went and talked to her. She told me he had a platter of food and one drink, and he seemed okay.
Yeah, I wonder why the police wouldn't ask those questions. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, it wasn't homicide either, right? They kept telling me that every time I asked them to do something or look into something. Well, there is no proof. And this is the wall we hit constantly. It was so frustrating with the Privacy Act and stuff.
Yeah.
They couldn't do certain things because they were not homicide. They were missing people, and it's not illegal to be missing.
Right.
And there was no proof that he was deceased or in any harm. So that was the problem we kept hitting at. We knew his personality, that this is not it, right? This is not what happened.
And Erin mentioned that in the Fifth Estate, that when she was calling around, she called the remand center and they wouldn't tell her whether or not he was there. So, yeah, I mean, it's all precious hours that are ticking away while
Yeah. And even, it was 5 days later, and like Erin was new to us. I had maybe talked to her once. Like, he met her in Edmonton, right? And we knew he was dating this girl, and it was new. Like, I said, he didn't have a lot of girlfriends. He was, kind of up there to get his school and go to work, and yet he met her, and they were friends, and then they started dating.
Yeah.
And so when this happened, she tried to contact my son through. She had none of our numbers, and Dylan's phone was missing with him. So I mean, it was hard for her. I felt so bad when I learned all this later that she said this is what happened and something's wrong. And when she contacted Dylan's brother, I mean, she just sent a message. I don't know when it was through MSN then, or if it was some other Facebook. I don't know. But Derek, who was surprised Dylan was dating too, just figured, this is just a girl that really likes him, is kind of stalking him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He didn't really think it, and he wasn't that concerned until at the third day or fourth day when, he tried to phone Dylan, and then he kind of phoned around to see if anybody talked to Dylan. And right away, the alarm bells are saying, because this is not Dylan. He's in contact with somebody.
Yeah.
So that was our first, we got to get up there now.
Yeah.
Something that's not right. And we stayed for 3 weeks, and with numerous trips after that, and did our own kind of detective work, or tried to.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I said,
and I saw photos on the Facebook page of like a wall you had set up with all the different maps and things.
And like the police would stand there and look at it and say, wow, like they could not believe what we were doing. We weren't just going to go home. We were, if you guys aren't going to do this, we are, and their excuse was, which, we don't have them. We don't know where he went. Where do we start? We don't have any. They did the 300-meter search when, I finally got them. Well, I shouldn't say I did. Back then, 2008, I couldn't make a missing person from Moose Jaw. So I had to get a hold of Erin and say, Erin, you got to phone the police right now. She goes, I did, and they wouldn't listen to me. And when I asked them that question, they said, do you know how many girlfriends we get calling in about their missing boyfriends? And I went, well, I'm his mother, and he's missing. And I, nope, we can't take your call. You're going to have to get someone from Edmonton up here to phone in.
But that's changed.
I cannot believe
now,
it.
Right?
Oh, it has. Thank God. That was so, I'm talking, you're in a mad panic, and you want, times have already, days have gone by. We have lost precious time already. Let's go, So it was really hard, but, they did get on it, and they did do their 300-meter search with a helicopter and dogs and stuff. And they found some of another cousin's belongings thrown around the yard and different things like that. And of course, they did their little door to door, and when nothing showed up, they just assumed that he had walked somewhere and froze to death. Yeah. And we'd find him in the spring. And in 2009, I think it was a number of bodies found around Edmonton.
There you go.
Yep. And there are some wooded areas around there, all kinds of stuff like that, but nobody ever found anything. Some speculated that he was alive and well, maybe holed up with friends who were unknown to Aaron and his family. Mm-hmm. And this is all in the first week of him missing, right? Yep. Other scenarios had him hopping into a car or onto a bus, maybe going someplace else, like BC or Calgary.
He didn't have his stuff.
Right.
Like most of his clothing.
Staging from the house at 10404 33rd Avenue, Melanie Alix rallied 19 friends and family into search parties to go out looking for her missing son. They put up and handed out thousands of posters. They canvassed neighborhoods and combed wooded areas nearby. According to the Fifth Estate, neither Colin DeMassa nor Nick Koshman, Dylan's roommates, were interested in or participated in the initial searches for Dylan. A report claimed that Colin said he was not Dylan's keeper and chose to keep a skydiving date rather than look for his missing cousin. According to the Fifth Estate, Colin made an odd remark at an update about the search for Dylan, saying that people go missing and end up dead in Edmonton all the time, and maybe he was killed and dumped at a construction site. Tara helped me to make sense of this information in the conversation that we had with her. Maybe you can help to clarify what I learned on the Fifth Estate. And they said that Colin and Nick didn't seem interested in helping to search. They really painted them negatively.
They really did, yeah.
Yeah. So is there any other information that you have that might,
Well, you don't have a few days, do you? Because no, the Fifth Estate was it was supposed to be a little bit more, we knew that they would focus on my cousins because they were the last ones to see them. But at this point, there wasn't a murder investigation or anything, a homicide investigation. The construction site, for instance.
Yeah.
Well, that happened. There's a little bit more context to a lot of those things, right? So it doesn't make it so black and white because we were all in a room. There was probably about 20, 30 of us in a room with 2 police officers, and we were all discussing different ways of what happened to Dylan.
Yeah.
There was many different options thrown out. Colin was, there's a construction site everywhere because they were just doing that overpass. Like there was a major construction area everywhere in there. And then we said, he said, couldn't he just been put in a construction site or however he put it? I don't remember exactly because memories can be funny, but the police officer immediately discounted it. He said, no, I don't think that's a possibility in this area because, there's night guards and it's very busy and, they don't just fill up holes and they don't, just do that. So being in a construction site in the area wouldn't, necessarily, he kind of discounted it right away. So, but that was kind of like, it seems like they took that and rolled with it, and it seemed out of context, really, to me. It's difficult because there's a lot of suspicion on Colin and Nick and Cameron and Ashley. They were there that night. They were the last ones to see him. Yep. There was a big argument. There was alcohol involved. It was, I understand, like it's a lot. I don't know how to explain everything with the Fifth Estate because there's just so much to explain. Every little detail, every nuance, there's just so much more context behind it. And it just doesn't make it so black and white. And the police officers from day one have never, ever hinted that they thought he was dead. Yeah. They always suspected that he walked away and froze to death.
Yeah.
That was their main, theory the entire time. We asked, and we went every single year and asked them every single year. No, and then I don't know how to explain how the ball was dropped so much. Like the 911 calls and the police investigation, I don't know what they have. Yeah. They're surprising me every turn, right? So I really don't know. There's not a really good connection with us, with the police.
Yeah.
Because they did. They completely, they went for 8 years, I guess the Fifth Estate was, and 8 years, and saying that, that they don't think there was anything. They couldn't do things because they didn't think of anything suspicious. They couldn't look at his phone records. They couldn't look at his online accounts and his messengers and his things. And then all of a sudden, 10 years later, they're looking for a computer that he had. And it's, it's been a lot of drama every single year. And it seems like the police have almost created it. It's just, I'm sorry for even saying that. But
no, I mean, that's fair enough.
A lot of the family doesn't think the way I do, but, but I just don't think, they've worked, and I don't know who to turn to.
Yeah.
I really don't know who to turn to actually take a good look at it and know if if there's mistakes that have been made and if they think my cousins did it, I don't know why they've waited so long. I just don't understand.
Yeah.
Right. So, like I said, all of our family relationships now are quite strained. I don't really talk to many of them, so it's been a very difficult time because unfortunately Dylan isn't here and he isn't the glue that keeps us together, right? So.
Although Colin's behavior and remarks may have been odd, as of their interviews in 2017 publicly, the family stood behind Colin. This includes Dylan's mom. Tara gave me some more information about around context about what was really going on with Colin and Nick at that time.
Nick and Colin, they were working. You got to remember that the whole entire family, there was probably like 20, and we used their house as a base for 2 weeks. All of us were there all day, every day, right? Like they were perfectly fine, yeah. And he, Colin came with me to put up flyers, and I remember down in the Edmonton bus station putting up flyers with him. Mm-hmm. And Nick and us, a couple times I think I went with him. They went to every single vigil until they weren't allowed to go.
Okay, and why weren't they allowed to go?
Well, because of family fighting. Because of fighting, because sure, Colin has a character. He's his own person, and he said some very rude things to Melanie, and he shouldn't be excused for that. And I'm mad at him as well. I think he should have did the Fifth Estate. I think still to this day, even though I know what the Fifth Estate was about, I still think he should have went on there to say his story. But I get why he doesn't. He's scared, and they made it known in certain terms that they think he did it.
Yeah.
So it's not they think Nick hit him or Ashley in common. They think they did the eerie music, looking up, slowly zooming up to his face, right? Like they think it's him, right? Mm-hmm. So it's just I don't know. Like I don't know what happened that night.
It's like trial by media for this guy.
It is definitely. But he doesn't help himself. So how can you help a guy that doesn't help? I told him I would be right beside him when he did the interview. And, if they told him, if they started accusing him or whatever, you could say, say what you want to say.
Yeah.
As long as you say it, use your voice, right?
Yeah.
But he's scared his words are going to come back and kick him. And, I said he didn't need words. They already think he did it.
Yeah.
So, at least show some human side, right? Some, the other side that the media is not knowing, and it's just him, and I just don't understand. There's so many other factors that happened that night that the police, I don't know. I don't know, Mike. I don't really know because I'm scared. There's more information, but I'm scared to say it because,
I got you. Yeah.
Because it can ruin the integrity of the investigation. And that's all you ever hear, right?
Yep.
It might ruin the integrity of the investigation if, you give this information. And it's like, it's 11 years, what integrity do we have left, right? So, I don't know, Mike. I honestly don't know.
Leads went nowhere, and searchers ran out of places to look and the energy to do it. Remember, the searchers we're talking about are the family, the only people who were left looking for Dylan at that time. By October 22nd, the search party had dwindled to 11 and began to wind down after that. A local lawyer posted a $5,000 reward for information leading to Dylan's safe return. Interestingly, the same weekend that Dylan went missing, there was another major police incident in Edmonton. It was the weekend that Mark Twitchell lured and killed Johnny Altinger. Perhaps as Edmonton homicide detectives were focusing on that case, this one didn't get the attention that it really deserved. According to an October 22nd, 2008 article in the Star Phoenix newspaper, Dylan's aunt, Penny Cumming, said, quote, "We are a faithful family, and we are asking everyone who believes in God to pray that he comes home healthy," said Cumming. She said the family is aware of the worst possibilities, but won't get caught up in the negative what-ifs. If we have to deal with something horrible, we'll deal with it when it comes. Right now, we are dealing with positive things, that Dylan is okay. That maybe he's got slight amnesia or memory loss of some kind. That maybe he's somewhere out there, alive and well. Penny continued, "Dylan is very, very close to his family. He would never take off without letting us know. He would never worry us, said Cumming, saying he would have told someone of a new job or holiday plans. It was a holiday weekend. He would never leave without telling his mother or grandma or his dad. We all agree that what has happened is very unusual behavior for him, end quote.
I can imagine in order to keep moving forward and keep looking and keep believing that there's a reason why I'm looking, you would want to be thinking, no, we're going to find him. You know, if you can keep it positive, that'll hopefully keep you motivated, as opposed to if you're just like, oh, screw it, doesn't matter anyways. You'd be easy to just fall back into a pile of depression and lose motivation. So I can understand it from that perspective of, let's just keep positive so we can keep moving forward.
There was no sign of Dylan, nor has there been since. Christmas came and went with no word from Dylan Koshman. Dylan's family got in touch with the Pattison Group, one of billionaire Jim Pattison's companies specializing in billboards.
Yeah.
They were surprised to find out that Pattison was willing to waive the $8,500 fee to put up 4 billboards in Edmonton, Calgary, Saskatoon, and Winnipeg.
Oh, awesome.
All of the massive posters with a giant photo and description of Dylan and the number of Crime Stoppers were placed in high traffic areas for 6 weeks with the hope of jogging someone's memory or getting a tip about where Dylan is. Another was put up in Regina, but nothing concrete came in those 6 weeks.
That's awesome of Jimmy Pattison. But as we talked about in a previous episode, he's had experiences with kidnapping of one of his daughters.
Exactly. And maybe that was what this situation could have been.
Yep.
Nobody knows.
Yep. It's still fairly...
Dylan's family has remained active in their search for him online and traveling regularly back to Edmonton. His mother's heart sinks every time she hears about an unidentified body found in the city.
Oh, God, I bet.
From a 2014 Global News article, quote, in the federal budget, the government earmarked funding for a DNA index that would help police match the DNA profiles of missing Canadians with unidentified human remains, potentially bringing closure to the families of missing people across the country. I got pretty emotional, said Melanie Alix, whose son Dylan Koshman disappeared in Edmonton in 2008. You don't know if it's ever going to happen, and it's a long road.
Yeah.
Since her son had gone missing, Alix had been petitioning the government to establish a national missing persons DNA databank. So this is how she channeled her activism.
A very healthy way to channel. And it's kind of mind-blowing that we, as of 2014, we still hadn't had a national DNA.
For missing persons. We had one for criminals. We didn't have one for missing persons. It's expensive.
Yeah,
It costs money.
Sure, but yeah.
In 2017, around the time of the Fifth Estate story on Dylan Koshman's disappearance, Edmonton Police Service, for reasons they have kept to themselves, have now made Dylan's case EPS File number 08-136304 a homicide investigation. The sparse webpage posted on April 20th, 2017 on the EPS site states, the circumstances of his disappearance are very suspicious, heard or seen since that date. There is a reward of up to $40,000 for information leading to the arrest of person or persons responsible for this homicide. If you have any information on this or any other crime, please contact the Edmonton Police Service complaint line at 780-423-4567 or the Edmonton Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477 or submit your tip online. Please reference the EPS file number when possible, and we'll post that in our show notes. But EPS did not tell Dylan Koshman's family first that they were upgrading his investigation to homicide. They told the CBC program The Fifth Estate first. That's right, a media organization heard before the family. And it was The Fifth Estate who told Melanie Alix that her son was no longer a missing person, but was now considered a homicide. Here's what Tara had to say about that situation.
They didn't tell us anything about turning it over to homicide until the Fifth Estate. Actually, the Fifth Estate are the ones that told us. They told the Fifth Estate a few things before they told us. And so that was kind of a surprise. But the public information, like, it shouldn't have been given to the Fifth Estate before. Like, that is something that shouldn't have to be told, to a large professional organization like that, right?
Melanie mentioned that she felt really blindsided by that whole thing.
We were all blindsided. Like, I'll tell you, and we didn't know, like, I didn't know anything until it aired.
Interesting that so you would think that they would have to have something for them to then rule it a homicide, because I don't think with missing people, I don't think there's a timeline in which they just, because is Michael Dunleavy's case, is that qualified? Like, do they say that's a homicide investigation, or do they say missing? I think they just keep him as missing people, and so it's interesting.
I don't think so. I think it depends on factors. It depends on what they found out that they're not telling us.
Well, and that's what I'm getting at, is like there must be something that they know that they can't make public to lead them in that direction.
Bill Clark, the EPS staff sergeant who recommended the change into a homicide investigation from missing persons, told CBC, quote, "If a person just wanders off or goes missing, we usually find them," Clark says. "There has been various stories about that. If you get hit by a car and wander off, if you're going to be found somewhere, it just doesn't make sense." Mm-hmm. Clark says that he doesn't believe some of the individuals the EPS interviewed have been upfront with police. "I think we have people who have lied to family members. I think we need to get to the bottom of it. We need to really find out what happened to Dylan and bring closure for this family." Clark says he thinks Dylan was killed the night he went missing.
Yeah.
"Can I prove it yet? No," he says. "Will I prove it? I hope so. I do believe that we will." End quote. So
I mean, I think I think that's what we all feel.
But here's the thing. So here's the scenario that I think. So everybody's got to be thinking, well, he got into a fight with this cousin. The cousin wasn't amenable to helping everybody search, all this kind of thing. Mm-hmm. How about you're a drunk driver? You're driving home in your pickup truck from the bar late at night.
Yep.
You're weaving all across the road, and some other drunk guy stumbles out in front of him. You hit him and you kill him.
Yep.
And you stop your truck. You pile the body into the back of your truck and you drive off. Right? And then you, the drunk driver, goes and disposes of this body somewhere way outside the city limits.
I mean, it's
another speculation. Like it's another.
I mean, could that happen? I mean, we usually see somebody.
He went near. He was near a major highway.
Yeah, the Calgary Trail Road. Yeah, but typically, if you're a drunk driver and you hit somebody, you're going to just continue to drive. You're not going to stop. But I mean, that's certainly something.
How
that
do you
could
know?
happen.
I know of stories exactly like this, but
I can't see if you're trying to mitigate risks, stopping your vehicle, trying to pick up a body, load it into your truck while you're intoxicated, there's a high probability another vehicle's going to come by, as opposed to just being like
4 o'clock in the morning.
As opposed to just being like, oh fuck, and keep
Thanksgiving
going.
weekend.
It would make more sense to just keep going, but
would it?
I would think so. Yeah.
Who knows?
Less opportunity to get caught.
It's just a scenario.
It's
not what I think happened, by the way, but it's just a scenario.
It's certainly something that could happen. Like, that is an option.
So also from the CBC article, quote, "When informed of Clark's comments, Dylan's mother, Melanie Alix, burst into tears. She said, it hurts because I don't want it to be any relative that could harm another person," she says. Yep. "I want to find Dylan."
Yep.
Dylan's father, Dan Koshman, doesn't believe any of his relatives are involved either. "That doesn't change my mind at all," he said after Clark's comments. "I don't believe that they had anything to do with it. No."
I can understand wanting to I don't think they did it.
Nobody knows that anybody did anything.
No.
We can't sit here and accuse anybody.
We don't have anything to the contrary.
A dedicated tip line has been set up by EPS for information on Dylan Koshman's homicide. It's 780-391-5444 and the numbers we mentioned above, or call 911. News reports said that the family always leaves an empty spot for Dylan at special dinners, year after year. Dylan's family holds vigils for his safe return close to the anniversary of his disappearance. At a candlelight vigil organized by Dylan's family and friends on October 11, 2018, the 10th anniversary, at the place he was last seen, his mother painfully read some words that she had written. And I found her note on their Facebook page, Help Find Dylan Koshman. It reads, "It's on this Thanksgiving weekend 10 years ago that our Dylan went missing. 10 long years. And it seems time has frozen in the year 2008 when our lives changed forever. The ambiguous grief we still have leaves us feeling sad, frustrated, confused, and angry. We need answers and closure. Dylan is a missing piece of our family. Over the last 10 years, we have prayed, searched, postered, researched, and petitioned. We have much empathy toward families of the missing, so we do what we can to help them in their search. And yet, in the midst of all this, we have not lost sight of love and hope. We will never give up hope. Hope in finding Dylan and the answers we desperately need. We ask for continued vigilance. We need the truth. We need answers. Whatever the answers are, we need resolution. We ask for open ears, minds, and hearts of all involved in our search for truth. And we ask for your prayers. No matter how you pray or to whom, I ask that you include Dylan and all our family in your prayers. Our deepest desire is peace. Please pray for peace. Signed, Melanie Alix."
Poor lady.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of pain there.
Yeah, and even with resolution, the pain won't go away, sadly.
I want to say a special thank you to Tara Koshman, Dylan's sister, and Melanie Alix, Dylan's mom, for participating in this episode. It would not have been near as great without you. So thank you very much. And we do hope and pray for some closure for your family. We did get quite a bit of audio from both of you, and we really appreciate that. And for all our listeners who are Patreon members, $5 and above, you are going to get a special after show this week, and you'll be able to hear that raw audio of my discussions with Melanie Alix and Tara Koshman. I've never had a family member go missing. I've never, not like this situation. Sure, like someone goes missing for a few minutes.
Yep.
So I didn't really know what to do if that happens.
Yeah.
So I thought, let's do some research.
Yeah, good.
Maybe people are going to be interested in this. And so what I found were some answers at a website called missingpersonsinformation.ca. And it's a bilingual website for the Canadian Centre for Information on Missing Adults, the CCIMA. And they said that each year police record over 100,000 missing persons in Canada.
Jeez.
Right? 100,000.
That's a lot of panic.
That is a lot of panic. They go on to say, in the overwhelming majority of cases, missing persons are located within a very short period of time, usually within days of disappearance. Sometimes the missing person is located by police, but often the person returns home on his or her own.
Yeah.
Under the heading, Reasons People Go Missing, the website writes, reasons why adults go missing are as varied as the individuals themselves. In some cases, several factors may contribute to a person's disappearance. There are a number of classifications used in describing the missing adult population. The classification below presents some of the major categories of missing adults, and I found these super interesting. So there are deliberate disappearances.
Yeah.
And this includes adults who may be experiencing life difficulties with significant people in their lives, financial issues, family breakdown, other problems that may be overwhelming. So the decision to disappear is a way to escape.
And I can get that. In the height of my depression, there was many times where you're like, I just want to run away from all the responsibilities and stresses and pressures and stuff. So
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
This also includes adults who decide simply to leave family and friends behind to start a new life elsewhere. And I know people who have done that. Maybe they didn't disappear, but people who have just said, yep, I'm done. See you later.
I'm done with all you.
Yep. Suicide. Some adults disappear with the intention of committing suicide. So when I was a youngster, I remember a friend of my parents, he was an older kid. So he was probably oh gosh, he might have been 14, 15 years older than me.
Okay.
So he went missing.
Yeah.
And his parents couldn't find him. A week later, he was found off a road outside of Bridgewater. He had put a hose from the back of his car into his, from the tailpipe, and he had asphyxiated himself with carbon monoxide. So he died by suicide. But that's the only case that I've ever heard of anybody going missing that I can recall. There was another one similar to that, exactly the same outcome in Bridgewater, but I didn't know the person as well.
Yeah.
And so that is definitely a reason why people disappear.
Absolutely.
Adventure or accident victims. And this is kind of what I was talking about. These adults include those who disappear while engaging in activities such as boating, adventure hiking, diving, or other activities and experience a catastrophic event.
We get that a lot here with hikers getting lost up in the mountains, snowboarders who go off.
Avalanche.
Yep.
Drifters. Drifters are those who lead a more transient lifestyle. Over time, contact with family and friends is lost. Yeah. I actually know a lot of people who are drifters and just have, because, I'm a recovering addict and alcoholic. Yep. I know a number of people who have who have drifted. Yeah. Myself included, very briefly.
Yeah, and I would imagine if you're an addict living in a neighborhood where addicts live, internet access and phones and keeping in contact with family.
It doesn't cross your mind because you're worried about your next drink and your next fix.
Yeah, good point.
You don't care about your family. I know I didn't, which is true. I was just thinking about me all the time. Yep. Unintentional disappearances. So these include people with dementia, Alzheimer's disease. We heard about that elderly man who went missing. He was from a South Asian family very recently here, and they found him deceased in Delta. He had just wandered off.
Happened to somebody we both know well, I'll tell you, after with his father.
It can also include those who find themselves lost while traveling in a new city, overdue in terms of his or her expected arrival, or misunderstanding communication of a meeting point. So those ones usually turn up.
I would imagine so.
Mental health issues. Some disappearances are due to undiagnosed or untreated mental health illnesses, such as bipolar disorder, psychosis, or schizophrenia. Addictions may be a factor as well, like we mentioned.
Yep.
Unknown circumstances. I don't know why they would put this category in there, because that's obvious that that's a category.
Yeah.
In some cases, there's no clear reason that explains why the adult went missing. The explanation comes only after the person is located.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
That's kind of on the nose.
Yeah.
Foul play, suspicious circumstances. These are disappearances that are the result of kidnapping, homicide, domestic violence, human trafficking, or other criminal events. It is important to note that only a small portion of missing person cases are due to foul play. Regardless of the reason for the disappearance, the trauma experienced by the family and friends can be tremendous.
I think these are really good to go over. I'm glad you put them in there.
Yeah.
It's good to also know that foul play is a very, very small percentage.
Well, it just so happens that the missing persons cases that will be covered on this show typically are ones that may or may not involve foul play.
It's just, and it's the nature of media and everything. Is those are the ones that are going to get the most attention. So to the public's knowledge, it can seem like, holy shit, this is like just rampant.
But again, back to what we said, 100,000 people go missing every year.
Yeah.
In Canada.
That's terrifying.
I didn't know that.
No.
I didn't know that was so high. So they also have a page titled Quick Facts about reporting a missing adult in Canada.
Oh, good. Okay.
This is excellent information.
Yeah.
So it reads, usually a person's family and friends know the individual's routine well and are the first to recognize when irregular patterns are broken. In majority of cases, explanations are easily found. Maybe there's no reasonable explanation for the disappearance. However, When there are no explanations, you are concerned for the person's safety or well-being, you should contact the police to discuss the situation. The sooner the police are made aware of the disappearance, the sooner they are able to begin working on locating your loved one.
I would imagine that one being difficult because you're going to always be like, oh, am I overreacting?
Right. When speaking with police, it is extremely important to tell them why or how the situation is different from the person's normal routine. For example, is the missing person someone who calls daily and is suddenly unreachable for several days? Like Erin, and Erin's trying to text her boyfriend, and I'm pretty sure that they were probably in contact every single day, and it sounded like they contacted each other quite heavily. And when he goes silent all of a sudden, that's going to be a concern to her.
Absolutely.
Has the person not returned after a wilderness trip? Be sure to explain how the situation is unusual. And next it talks about waiting period before contacting police. Guess what?
What?
There is no waiting period for filing a missing persons report in Canada.
Oh.
Having to wait 24 or 48 hours or any other time period is a myth.
Well, that's really good to know.
This is why I'm putting this information
that is really
here.
good to know.
Who can report a missing adult? Although missing adults are usually reported to police by family members, you do not have to be a relative to file a missing person report.
Interesting. Okay.
A person can be reported missing by a friend, coworker, neighbor, employer, doctor, community worker, or anyone who knows the missing person's routine well enough to recognize when there's a change.
Okay, that's what I was wondering about.
Employee doesn't show up for work at the telecom where we used to work. What was the first thing we did? Call their house to say, are you okay?
Yep.
And if they didn't answer, we called their family to let them know.
The emergency contacts.
Yeah, exactly. Where to file a report. A missing persons report should be filed with the police force responsible for the city/area where the person disappeared from. So, Melanie Alix today can call Edmonton from her home in Moose Jaw to let them know, hey, this is what's going on. Other people are telling me he's not showing up for work. All these kind of things are going on. He's missing.
It's mind-blowing to think that that wasn't the case.
Yeah. There are situations where the missing person disappears from an area that is different from where the reporting person lives, e.g. city or province, like we mentioned, or far away geographically. If this applies in your situation, contact the police force in the area where the disappearance occurred. So she did exactly the right thing.
She did.
It may be possible to have your local police take the missing persons report and forward it to the police force in the area where the disappearance occurred. This is something to discuss when filing a report. I would rather deal with the people who are going to do the looking. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
If the investigation involves more than one police agency, it's a good practice to contact each of the police agencies involved to ensure all information has been passed along. Maybe
that's a good point,
he's camping in a place that outside of Edmonton that is patrolled by the RCMP, and he is living in Edmonton, supposed to be back there, so you should be contacting both the RCMP and the Edmonton Police.
Really good point.
Here's another thing that was interesting. It is not a crime for an adult to go missing. So saying, oh, well, that guy's missing, I can't understand why someone would think that is a crime, because I don't think I would.
It's one of those things you don't really think about, but yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It absolutely makes sense.
It's not a crime for an adult to sever all contacts and voluntarily walk away from his or her life to start over elsewhere.
I mean, dick move, sure.
But as a result, police have the difficult job balancing the missing adult's right to privacy with finding out the reasons for the disappearance.
Yeah.
So they don't... I know of one particular case where police know more than... they're letting on. So
yeah, and I'm sure that happens more than we know.
In some cases, the person no longer wishes to remain in contact with his or her loved ones. When this happens, police have to respect the missing person's decision. In most cases, the searching family is notified that the person has been located, but no further details are shared without the missing person's consent.
Yeah, which I think is the right thing to do. At least be able to let the family know he or she is safe. Beyond that,
right,
we have nothing for you. but we can't pass on that he or she is safe.
Is safe, yeah. That's the right thing to do.
Yeah. You'd really have to hate somebody, really, really have to hate somebody to not even want to let them know you're alive.
Well,
to know that
Carol and I have a member on her side of her family who we have no idea.
But that's
he's just
yeah. But that I think I know who, and I think I understand why that's understandable. But again, that's a big level of dislike.
Yeah.
So you really
we're kind of okay with it.
Yeah. I think that usually they will be, but
right. We'll post a link in the show notes about this website, but again, it's missingpersonsinformation.ca. And in regard to Dylan Koshman's disappearance, someone knows something.
Absolutely.
Even if it's just, it in passing, maybe you saw something, maybe you're not involved directly in what happened to Dylan, but you saw something.
Mm-hmm.
Why not get it off your chest? It's 12 years. Give Melanie and Tara and the rest of their family a break.
Yep.
And just even anonymously, just call and say, I know what happened and this is what went on.
Yep. And we know that these things can happen.
Mm-hmm.
We know a situation where I believe it was like 12 years, 10 or 12 years.
Years later.
And somebody eventually came forward.
Yep.
And so...
And this was a murder. This is a murder situation.
And I can assure you that individual, I absolutely 100% assure you that person who came forward, I personally know, is glad they did and feels relieved about it and feels in a much better place, much happier.
Yeah. If somebody out there has it gnawing at them.
Yes.
You know that somebody out there, maybe even you're listening to this podcast and it's just gnawing at you.
Yeah.
And it's just gnawing at you.
There is a reprieve to that.
Yeah, that's not going to go away.
Yeah.
That's never going to go away, that feeling. You might be able to push it away with drugs, with all those kind of things.
As long as you keep it to yourself, it's never going to go away.
No.
You can be better.
Yeah.
You absolutely can. And I'm telling you from firsthand knowledge with somebody, that person feels so much better.
Well, that's it for this week's show. You'll be able to learn a little more on in our show notes on darkpoutine.com. And again, if you're a Patreon subscriber of $5 and above, you'll be able to hear Melanie and Tara talk more about the case. So I guess it's time for voicemails. You can leave us one at 1-877-327-5786 or 1-877-DARK-PTN. If your call stands out, you might hear it on the show. This one looks like it is a local one. So let's hear what this guy has to say.
Hey, Mike and Scott. This is Steve here from boring old North Vancouver. I've been a follower of you guys probably since the beginning. I just happened to get into podcasts from the same time that you guys were getting off the ground, and I was just a huge true crime buff. You guys, one of the first ones you did was Terry Driver, and it was actually my uncle that fingerprinted Terry Driver to identify him as the Abbotsford killer. He died probably about 4 months after that podcast. But anyway, thanks so much for the work you guys do. I've been enjoying it since day one. I'm heavily biased towards the BC stuff. I can't get enough of that. But, this COVID stuff has hit us pretty hard over here. So sometimes I'll just put in one of your podcasts and just get lost in some yard work and some gardening and just get lost for hours. So you guys are just awesome. I really enjoy listening to you guys. But keep up the good work. When this COVID stuff's over, I'll make sure to send you guys a couple bucks. And please make sure to shit in your respective hats. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thanks, Steve.
Oh,
That's
Steve,
awesome. My old stomping grounds. I wonder where in North Van Steve is, because I was like Lower Lonsdale.
Oh,
I lived on Lower Lonsdale, all around Lower Lonsdale, probably like 6 different addresses, probably.
I like that.
5 years.
I like that area.
Yeah.
It's a really nice area.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. And I'm glad we can bring you some kind of joy through all of this
Yeah.
COVID
While you're
mess.
doing your yard work.
Yumber yard work?
Your yumber yard work. Okay. Looks like this person called twice. We'll go with the second one.
Yeah, that's usually the...
Okay. Here's one from somebody I don't know, but it looks like Richland, Washington, if our translation software
It's
is
never
correct.
right.
Yeah. Well, let's see.
Hey, Mike. Hey, Scott. My name is Lauren. I'm from Richland, Washington. I've been listening to your podcast for a really long time now. I'm finally up to date on them. The first time I left you guys voicemails and the last time I was super drunk and it was really long. And I realized if I want to hear myself on your podcast, I should probably keep it short. So just wanted to say that I really love you guys. I appreciate the humor, the facts, the stories. You guys are real as hell. I just finished listening to the Wesley Allen Dodd case, and I didn't realize that he is actually from my area, where you mentioned he went to Columbia High School, which is where I went to high school. It's now called Richland High School, and our mascot is a B-52 bomber, which is definitely hit or miss in our area. So, yeah, little fun fact from that case. I love you guys. You're awesome, and keep on doing whatever you're doing. Go shit in your hats.
Thanks, Lauren.
Thanks, Lauren.
Yeah.
You were probably correct. We probably looked at the length of your voicemail from before, and we just didn't play it.
Yeah, I mean, some of them, it's like, well, this is an episode.
Yeah, exactly. Some of them
next
are
week's
just
episode
epically
will
long.
just be one voicemail.
But that's interesting. She went to the same high school that Wesley Allen does.
Now that she knows, I'm sure there's a little creep factor going on.
And I'm sure that, sometimes at my high school, I know we had like Rhodes Scholars who had gone to our high school and things like that on the wall.
Yeah.
People who had accomplished things from my high school. Donald Sutherland went to my high school.
Well, damn.
Yeah. So I don't think that they would have Wesley Allen Dodd.
I don't think they have a wall of shame at that school.
No, it's like this asshole
here. But if you think about it, that would be also very intriguing to know what kind of D-bags went to my school.
Right.
Wow.
There's probably a lot.
I'm very curious about that now.
Well, this douchebag I'm pointing to myself.
Oh, yeah.
Went to my high school, so
that you could go on your wall of shame.
People are aware. People are all aware that the wall of shame was like very out and
you'll be at the top.
Front.
You'll be at the top. You'll have you're like the king of the
king of shame.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's another. It looks like there's only really 3 this week.
Whoa, interesting.
Yeah, I guess people just don't want to talk to us. That's okay.
It happens.
That's okay. Yeah, we get it.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Mike and Scott. It's Cass calling from Ottawa. I was on the Okopoco episode. You played my voicemail then, and I am just pushing my luck, apparently. I am calling because I just listened to your episode on Nathan Cirilla, Corporal Cirilla, and it was weird because I was in my second year of university when this happened, and I distinctly remember how it felt sitting in lockdown. I went at U Ottawa at the time, and it's right downtown, like maybe a 5-minute walk maximum from the War Memorial and Parliament buildings and everything like that. And just sitting and waiting for any sort of news and hearing things like, oh, they heard something in the Rito Center and like all this sort of stuff going on. And it was kind of weird. So thanks for covering that again and getting some more closure on that situation. And also thank you for not mentioning that asshole's name because I haven't learned it to this day and I don't intend to anytime soon. So thanks. Have a good one.
Yeah, and I'm sorry you had to go through that. That would have been a pretty terrifying time.
Ottawa, I found when I was there, everything was smaller than I thought it was. I thought I was going to see these gargantuan parliament. It's big.
That's what I'm envisioning.
But everything just felt smaller. It's not unimpressive.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful building. The buildings are quite beautiful and ornate, and there's lots to see.
Yeah.
But I was struck by the that it felt a lot smaller than I thought.
Interesting.
It was gonna be.
Yeah, I have this vision of it being like
it's like movie stars. You think they're going to be this bigger than life thing when you meet them, and they're just Tom Cruise.
I'm sure at the Crime Con, people were like, "Oh, these guys are much shorter than I thought."
A couple of people actually said that.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
But thank you so much.
Yeah, very many thanks. Thank you. And was your name Cash? I think that's what it sounded like.
Yeah, I couldn't.
If your
sounded
name's
like Kath or Cash.
If your name's Cash, what a dope name.
I think it was Cash.
If your middle name is Money, Cash Money,
Cash Money. Isn't that a what was it? What's that again?
Well, it's a hip hop, you know.
No,
Hip-hop
like there
expression.
was a radio commercial.
Oh God, I don't remember.
Yeah,
radio, huh? You remember those?
Radio down on the radio.
Remember those?
Should I talk like a radio guy for the rest of this one? No, I'm not going to do that.
Oh,
to
your
myself.
poor throat.
Oh my gosh, I almost killed myself last week.
Yeah, don't do that.
It was not good. Oh, let's get on to Patreon.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's see. Who do we have this week?
That's a great question.
Yeah, it is a great question. So first up, we have Shane.
Shane. Hi,
Just Shane.
Hi, that's all we need.
Yeah.
Thankfully, there's only one Shane in the world.
Okay, so Shane.
Yep.
Is from.
Montevideo, Uruguay.
Montevideo?
Yeah.
There's an actual place called Montevideo?
Yeah. It's the capital city, I'll have you know.
Montevideo.
Yeah.
Wow, that's weird.
Yeah,
I didn't know that was the capital of Uruguay.
And most people don't. I happen to.
Okay, so what does he do in Montevideo?
VHS repair.
Oh, so not very busy.
No. Well, actually, in Montevideo,
he's the only VHS repairman.
They still don't have digital technology.
Whoa.
They don't have DVD, Blu-ray, none of those things.
Come on now.
No, true fact, yeah.
I think you're full of nonsense.
No, I speak the truth. It's all I speak. It's all I speak.
Oh, goodness
Montevideo
gracious.
is how they say it.
Montevideo. Yeah. Next, we have Cindy Lee McNeil, and she's from North Sydney, Nova Scotia.
Oh, North Sydney.
I'm wondering if she's related to Rita McNeil.
Holy shit.
She could be.
She very well could
There's a
be.
lot of McNeils, though, on Cape Breton.
Don't harsh my buzz.
Okay, but what does Cindy Lee McNeil do in North Sydney?
Oh, she makes Christmas tree ornaments.
Oh, that sounds nice.
It's really lovely. Handcrafted.
Wow.
Guess how much an ornament?
$3.
$752.
Good golly.
Yeah. She puts a lot into these ornaments.
How many does she sell a year?
Like 7,000.
So she's really wealthy. So she should have given us
Lord.
way more.
Oh, she's loaded. You know what they say.
What are you doing cheaping out, Cindy Lee?
You know that expression, making that ornament money. She's making that ornament money.
Making that bank ornament money.
Cash money.
Thank you, Cindy Lee McNeil.
Yeah.
Next we have Carly Risenhoover Peterson, or is it Risenhoover? Which do you think it is?
I think it's Risenhoover.
Okay. She's from Kettering, Ohio.
Oh.
What does Carly do in Ohio?
Ohio, you would think potato farmer, but no.
I wouldn't think that,
No,
actually.
she's bucking the trends of Ohioites. And she's
Ohioans?
Ohioites.
Okay.
It's what they now say.
It's the Scot.
It's what they say now. That's not what she does at all. She operates a front end loader.
Oh.
Yeah. Which is really fun. I did that once in my
Heavy
recycling.
equipment.
Yep. It's actually really quite a fun thing to do. She sometimes, when not working, like so during lunch hour, her and the other front end loader
race.
They race them
in
the parking lot. Sometimes they just go right over the cars.
Loader race.
Her co-workers are very not jazzed about.
We used to call a guy in school Loader because he walked like he had a shit in his pants.
Jesus. Well, I'm sure he loves that.
No, he did not.
No. Oh.
Him and his brother used to, fight with me and my friends all the time.
I can imagine so.
And I threw his brother in the blueberry bushes one time and got blueberries all over his pants.
Wasn't it enough you called him Loader?
No, that was his brother.
Oh, you threw his brother.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway.
Lots of love from that family.
No. So thank you, Carly, and your front end loader.
Yep.
Next we have Phoebe Kessie.
Oh.
And she's from Cronulla, In Australia,
Yeah.
I guarantee she is a nice lady.
I don't know why, but I really love the name Phoebe.
Phoebe is a nice name.
It's a
If you
great
had
name.
another daughter, I guarantee you'd name them Phoebe.
Quite probable.
Yeah.
Or even a boy.
Named Phoebe.
Yeah.
Yeah, why
well,
not?
it could be a cat. We could give birth to a cat. I'd name it Phoebe.
A lady who used to live downstairs from us and listens to this show had
Yeah.
a cat named Phoebe.
It's a great name.
Yeah.
It's a great name.
So what does Phoebe do in Australia?
Florist. But
She's a florist.
But a weed florist. She makes, what do they call it when you like a bushel of flowers? When you like
An arrangement?
arrangement. She makes arrangements with weeds like dandelions.
Oh, I thought you were going to say weed.
No, well, maybe. I'm not here to judge.
Right.
I'm not here to judge. But she, like brambles she'll put in there and,
wow.
and dandelions and whatever kind of weeds they have in Australia.
Fair enough.
Yeah. It's she's starting a thing. It's going to be a trend all over the place.
There we go. And next, oh my goodness, we have Faye Wicks, and she is from London.
Oh,
in Great Britain.
Oh,
the real London,
real
as opposed to the Canadian London.
Not Canada's London.
Not Canada London, where Matthew's from.
Fake London.
I always, I want to go to London so bad.
Same.
I was
here.
in Heathrow Airport. That's as close as I've ever been.
Well, I mean,
but I was on my way to France.
Technically, you stepped foot.
Yeah.
So, but
not outside the airport, though.
I would. Yeah, I really, really want to go to London.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but I do.
I want to see. I love Europe and all the history there.
Scotland. I want to go to Scotland.
Although I guess because of Brexit, the UK is not a part of the European Union.
That's right.
So we better be careful.
Is it or isn't it?
I'm not quite.
What is the state?
I
of
don't
that?
quite understand.
Yeah,
it.
I don't
think a lot of people there do.
No.
So, what does Faye do in Great Britain? Did we say?
Oh, I don't think we did.
No.
Faye operates snowplows.
Another heavy equiment operator.
Yeah,
That's two.
Yeah.
Your creativity is lagging.
No. It's just this is the modern age.
Okay.
More women operating heavy machinery.
Okay.
Yeah, snow. She runs a snowplow.
There you go.
Yeah, they don't.
I don't think there's a lot of snow.
There isn't. There isn't.
It's a fog plow.
But
she plows the fog, which is also another myth. Yeah. There's not a lot of fog in London.
So what her machine, she's created work because she's attached a snow blower to the front.
Oh, so she creates the snow so she has snow to plow.
Yeah, exactly. It's very ingenious.
That's smart.
Yeah.
Thanks, Faye. Next we have Jen, and her last name I'm going to slaughter. It's probably Tochterman.
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
I tried.
Yeah.
And she's from Brunswick, Maine.
Maine. Not New Brunswick. This is more old.
So I wonder if she watches WLBZ, Bangor, Maine. That's the NBC affiliate in Bangor, Maine.
I don't know.
And there used to be a man there. His name was Eddie Driscoll.
Oh,
and he did the community announcements. And Eddie Driscoll said, "Send in your community announcements and we'll put it on for you."
I like Eddie Driscoll.
Oh yeah!
Wow!
And he also was the announcer for the movie of the week, like the afternoon movie. Oh yeah! This afternoon we've got this here movie.
I want him to narrate my life.
Oh, I love the Maine accent, and I can do it well because I'm. Put it on for you. Because I heard it so much.
Yeah.
When we lived nearby, we traveled to Maine. But
Driscoll.
What does Jen do in Brunswick, Maine?
Jen,
spell checker for Stephen King?
No.
Okay.
No. Unless she's changed careers.
She owns. You were going to say she owns something.
A spell check company.
Oh, fuck.
No, she owns a, now you've got me all rattled. She owns she owns a taco store. Stand.
Okay.
Yeah, there was an S and a T. I got confused.
She owns a taco stand.
She owns a taco stand, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they're delicious. Mm-hmm. Sometimes people...
Is there lobster in the tacos?
That's the kick.
I love a lobster.
That's the specialty there. That's why.
Now
that's what that's what she's known for. Her famous. She's come to the lobster taco stand.
Come down to the lobster taco stand
Eddie
and
Driscoll.
we'll shove it into you.
Eddie Driscoll's he's gonna do that as the special announcement.
I think Eddie Driscoll is dead.
Oh, well,
He was an old dude in the 70s, so
that's just sad.
I'm pretty certain that Eddie Driscoll is somewhere pushing up the daisies.
Well, that's just sad.
But thank you, Jen. Next, we have Joanna Malinowski, and she's from North Arlington, New Jersey.
Mm-hmm. Yep. She's a casino operator.
Oh.
Yeah, in New Jersey.
Oh, so like Atlantic City kind of thing?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
On the boardwalk there. Yeah. Yep. She runs the whole kit and caboodle.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's a stressful job. I mean, think about all the people she has to have offed.
Right.
You know, like, yeah. Yeah, it's people don't make a lot of profit.
No.
Going to casinos. And so you're going to get a lot of angry people.
Yeah.
But in her role, she just like gets other people, just go deal with this shit.
Fair enough.
Go off them.
Well, thanks, Joanna Malinowski.
Yeah, thank you
very much. They're in
Thank you for
New Jersey. She's in Jersey.
Thank you for handling all those gamblers.
Next, we have Lisa McKinnon from Lower Nicola, British Columbia.
Oh, cool. Not the Upper Nicola.
No.
You don't want to confuse the two.
And what does Lisa do in Lower Nicola, British Columbia?
She is a copper miner.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I heard that. And,
yeah, you probably did. It was well reported.
Yeah. And she makes something with the copper, though.
Yep, she does.
What is it? What is it again?
Copper shovels.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
They tend to bend. And
I know.
very-
They're more like, because they look a bit more rustic because they're copper, so they're more decorative.
Right.
Like if you wanted it to look like you have
Yeah.
shoveling to do, you'd buy one of those. But if you're not going to actually do any shoveling.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Fair enough. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Next, we have Jasemi Nickel.
Jasemi Nickel.
Yeah.
Yes, that rings a bell. Yeah.
She's from Edmonton, Alberta.
That's right. Yeah.
And it's ironic. We have somebody from the place that we're doing
I know.
often.
Coincidence?
So we talk about Edmonton, and then somebody from Edmonton is a patron. Isn't that funny how that works?
I don't think it's a coincidence.
Yeah, I think it is entirely a coincidence.
Pish posh.
Mishmash. So what does Jasemi do? I'm sure I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. Just Amy or...
Currently very busy. Very, very busy.
Yeah.
Zamboni operator for the Edmonton Oilers.
Oh, so she's the hub city.
Yep.
Wow.
Oh my God.
That's
you haven't seen this much.
Is she going to be in goal for the Maple Leafs during the
quite
end of the
possible. She may
playoff?
get called up. It's quite possible. The amount of Zamboni work happening is exhausting.
It's got to be.
Yeah, she's got 3 backup Zambonis just in case.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, you don't want to have unzambonied ice.
There you go.
It's true.
Now on to donut money.
Mm-hmm.
And first up, we have somebody who went to tea with us.
Oh.
When we went to tea over in Vancouver, and that's Juliana Ambrosini.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, she mentioned that she was going to give us some donut money this week. So thank you, Juliana. We know Juliana. We have shaken hands with and given hugs
had
to.
tea with, in fact.
Had tea with.
Yeah, you only do that with close friends.
That's right. Yep. What does Juliana do for work? I know she's from New West, I believe.
Yes.
So what does she do in New Westminster?
A page gluer.
Well, she glues pages.
Yeah, so I don't know if people are aware
Just
how
to
books get
frustrate.
made. No, silly.
Like you glue the page 101 to 103 together.
No, she glues them to the binding so that you can read them. People don't think about that. How does this page get into the book?
Machine does that now.
Well, it's moving in that direction.
It's artisanal.
Yes, exactly.
The artisanal page
She's trying
gluing.
to keep that genre alive.
Oh, fair enough.
And you don't finish a lot of books.
No.
You don't finish a lot of books, but
like one page at a time?
One page, yeah,
That is
singularly.
Oh my goodness.
You don't want to have multiple glued together, as you were mentioning, because that's just frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to be, and then you have to place it and then let it dry.
There you go. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you, Juliana.
Thank you. Yeah, very much.
And hopefully we'll get to go out for tea when this COVID nonsense is over again.
Jesus, please.
Adela Reed another familiar name.
Yeah.
I don't know where Adela's from, though, Scott.
You don't?
Nope.
I do. Adela's from.
I see.
It's a little.
I smell the brain.
It's from a little town called Beijing.
Oh, that little town.
Yes.
Oh, in
China, of course.
okay,
Of course.
yeah,
Not
just checking.
Not the Beijing in Idaho.
Yeah, Beijing, Idaho.
Yeah, not that one.
Wouldn't that be funny if it were?
It would be. No. It's from the China Beijing. Yeah.
So what does Adela Reed do in Beijing, China?
She works for TikTok.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Is she a ticker or a talker? I'm not sure how.
More of a
that
talker.
works.
More of a talker.
Gotcha.
More of a talker. There's some concern, though, because Trump literally, before I came here, just announced that he's going to be banning TikTok in the U.S.
You know what else should be banned from the internet? Donald Trump.
Yeah.
He should definitely be banned.
But so there's a lot of controversies. They're like, the U.S. is a big market of ours. How are we going to have TikTok? Well, yeah, that's part of what she's there to fix. Yeah. That's part of the talking.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a lot of turmoil in the TikTok world.
Well, thank you so much, Adela.
Yeah, thank you for doing what you do.
Thank you to all our patrons and Donut Money donors, past and present, for your help to keep us doing what we do. Yeah. If you want to support the show, you can do so by subscribing to Patreon at patreon.com/darkpoutine. Or for one-time donation, you can send us donut money via PayPal at our email address, darkpoutinepodcast@gmail.com. If you don't already, please subscribe to the show.
Please.
It'd mean a lot to us. You can easily find us on iTunes Podcast, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, or wherever you get your on-demand audio. Check out our website, darkpoutine.com, for show notes and other cool stuff. Give us a like or follow on Facebook and Instagram. Most importantly, tell your friends about us. Word of mouth is a powerful thing. And until we return, don't forget to be a good egg and not a bad apple.
Bye-bye, everybody.
I need some air conditioning.
Jesus Christ.
Bye.
Hi, it's Shauna, and I might be a bad parent because my kids think French fries are vegetables.
Hey, it's Ryan, and I might be a bad parent because I went out for wings when my wife was in the hospital after giving birth.
Johnny here. I might be a bad parent because in my house, the tooth fairy gives pocket change.
But we're not alone. Len emailed us and said his 6-year-old daughter's Tarzan moment going from love seat to lazy boy by curtains made him more proud than any dance recital.
And Andy left his 2-year-old at the rink.
All right, guys, I'm sure we're not alone.
Like Andy's kid.
For stories and confessions like this, make sure you check out our podcast.
It's called Bad Parents, and it's available wherever you get your podcasts.
I left a glove at the rink.